Hello, Ayurveda Everyday with Talia. This is Talia. Happy spring! It's spring! It's so exciting! And I'm so excited about what I'm teaching today in Ayurveda Everyday because today I am teaching what I was supposed to teach last week, but Facebook and Instagram disappeared on Wednesday, which was my only day to do it. But I'm teaching about how to reduce Kapha, the Kapha dosha. So I'm going to do a little bit of education about what I mean by that. What is Kapha? I'll start there and then I'll go into some actual practical things that you can do to reduce Kapha in your own body, mind, spirit. So Kapha is one of the three Ayurvedic doshas. There are three: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. I'm sure you've heard of them. And Kapha is the dosha, the energetic force that is comprised of earth and water. So what do we get when earth and water get mixed up? We get mud. So when we have a lot of Kapha in the body or the mind, we will feel the way that we would feel if we were stuck in mud. We would feel slow, heavy, dense, stuck, thick, stagnant, kind of having a hard time moving. We might feel a little bit dirty even because, the earth and the water together making that mud, it's just not a clean feeling. And so when we reduce Kapha in the body, mind, spirit, what that means is we're reducing allergies, because think of allergies. They're like, it's stuck and it's irritated too, but the stuckness and the mucus, kind of the stickiness, is what precedes the irritation. I mean, the irritation can actually cause the stickiness and the stagnation, but then once it's happening, if that mucus is present, when that Kapha stuck, stagnant, buildup, accumulation is present, then we're just going to keep having to deal with the irritation. We also know when we have excess Kapha, when we are too heavy in our bodies and in our minds and spirits, when we're just lethargic, we're unmotivated, feeling lazy, feeling defeated, going into victim mode, self-pity, depression, melancholy, sadness, grief. There's Kapha present when we're in any of those emotional states. And then physically, when we have edema, like water stuck in the tissues, kind of being waterlogged, holding too much weight, like I said, just feeling really slow, moving really slow. What else? Ways that we accumulate, like digestion being really slow, or metabolism being really slow. So you're like, God, I'm not feeling hungry. Like I haven't eaten anything and I still don't feel hungry. That's when your metabolism is really slow. So we want to move this Kapha energy, which has actually been building up over the past 3, 4, 5 months to protect us through a dark, cold winter. The body knows what it needs to accumulate and when it's aligned with and attuned to the natural cycle of the seasons. So, for most of us, when we're heading into winter, at least in this hemisphere, when we're heading into winter, the body's like, oh, the weather's getting cold. I need to protect this person's blood by making things a little bit thicker and more insulated and more dense. Now, when we're at the equinox of spring and we're like, we don't need that protection anymore. Now we want to lighten our load and spring forward and have energy and lightness, and we don't want allergies. Like, we want to be able to just spring forward into this new season. This is the time of year when the days are longer. The foods that are sprouting out of the earth are pungent in nature, so they're going to build internal warmth, help you sweat, help you start to liquefy some of that dense accumulation that builds up over the winter and end of fall. And so nature is still on your side, right? It helped you build up that Kapha when you needed it, and now nature is helping you to release it. So we want to do our part and kind of say, okay, nature, thank you. And I'm going to do my part and really start to attune my practices to what naturally is wanting to happen in this season. So the kapha that has accumulated, the water and earth that has built up and now kind of is more like waste products that we want to get rid of. How do we do that? How do we reduce kapha in the body? So that's what today's Facebook Live is about. And before I jump into a few demos of things I want to show you, I want to let you know that my spring cleanse has officially opened its doors, and I'm so excited. So if you don't know, I have been teaching seasonal Ayurvedic cleanse programs for 10 years. This is my 10-year anniversary. And I call them the RAD cleanse because RAD stands for Radiance Ayurveda Detox. And also when you type the word RAD into Facebook, it turns it bold and pink and it makes this explosion of confetti. So, I mean, that's not why I named it that, but I'm just like, I can't believe that's what happens when you type it in. It's one of my favorite words, being a California native. But the RAD cleanse is a seasonal Ayurvedic detox that is specific to the season that we're in. So it helps to release and remove what you no longer need. So at this time of year, like spring is I say this at other times of year too. I know you'll all say this in 6 months and you'll be like, didn't she say that in the spring? But it's such a vital time of year to give yourself a break from what you've been doing with your food, your nutrition, and your body care. Either change it up entirely or amp it up, like turn up the volume on your practices so that you really hold hands with nature and say, you know what? I get what this time of year is for. It's for releasing what I don't need so that I can be light and healthy and free and no inflammation and no heaviness as I move forward towards summer. I can really enjoy my summer, but you've kind of got to seize the day. So the most powerful thing you can do to reduce kapha is to do a spring cleanse. And the reason why I love Ayurvedic cleanses especially is because they're not one size fits all. It shouldn't be one size fits all. Yes, we are all in the spring season, so we're all going to be, affected by the same environmental factors, more or less. It does vary a little bit depending on where you live, but generally speaking, we are all in the same energetic force in terms of the time of year. I mean, beautiful hummingbird right outside my window. Oh my God, with like a single flower and it's just hovering. Oh, that was amazing. And it's preparing you, an Ayurvedic seasonal cleanse prepares you for the next season ahead so that you are the healthiest that you can be for that next season that's coming. It's literally like peeling back layers of an onion. So the more that you cleanse or detox seasonally, the easier it becomes over time. But, even if it's your first time doing a detox, again, what's special about the Ayurveda detox, and especially my program, the RAD cleanse, is we really meet you where you are. Just like if you were to come to a yoga class and you had really done very little yoga and everybody is upside down in standing on their heads with their legs pretzeled into lotus pose. I mean, you might walk in and be like, you've got to be kidding. Like, I can't do that. I am not ready for that. So I really keep that in mind with my cleansers. And there's lots of different kind of levels or layers of the cleanse. And so you can go for whatever level or layer that you're at that realistically fits with where you are in your life right now. And then the next time that you do a cleanse, especially an Ayurvedic cleanse, you can take it to the next level and it will just kind of unfold naturally. But anyway, I'm really excited about this because I'm so passionate about this, and I really believe that Ayurvedic cleansing is, oh, the other thing I wanted to say about it is it's so nourishing. It's not just a juice cleanse or a water fast, which may or may not be safe for you. It's very thoughtfully presented. It's very thoughtfully guided. So it considers all the different people who are doing the cleanse and addresses like, okay, if this is what's happening for you, then these are the steps to take now. And so there's a lot of like coaching and support and accountability that happens in this cleanse. I'm saying so much more about it than I intended to. I was just going to say that's one of the best ways to reduce kapha. But anyway, I went off on a tangent. So forgive me. In this video's description, and I'll do this on YouTube as well, if you're catching this on YouTube, I will put a link where you can learn more about the Rad Cleanse Spring Detox. And also I have $100 off coupon for everyone who watches this video and who's in Ayurveda Every Day with Talia. So you actually get $100 off the course. And there's even some bonuses that come with the course right off the bat. So very exciting. That is the number one way. Now I'm about to show you a bunch of other ways that you can reduce kapha. And I am going to say that, again, the Rad Cleanse is the first thing that I mentioned because reducing kapha, think of kapha, it's water and earth. So it's a river rushing through the walls of a canyon. It is powerful. It is strong. And I want to say, too, that you can't live without kapha. Everybody needs kapha. We should be worshiping kapha because it is literally your vitality, your juiciness, your strength, your durability, your flexibility, your fluids all have to do with the Kapha dosha. And we just want it to be healthy. And if you're just doing one practice, like every once in a while, it's great. It still makes a difference. But to really move that river, you've got to do a lot of different things. And you want to do them consistently. So again, a program that gives you a comprehensive group of pleasurable practices. I will say they are primarily pleasurable and make you feel amazing. That's the way you're going to really move kapha and learn how to move kapha for the long term, no matter what season you're in. Because due to environmental factors, emotional factors, life factors, we can accumulate kapha at different times of year. Sometimes we accumulate it just because we're under stress, and it might not be physical stress, it might be emotional stress. So having a picture of what kapha really is and how to move it in a comprehensive setting is the most powerful thing you can do. I mean, Ayurveda is really a vast science, so I always recommend education. The more you can educate yourself, the more you can immerse yourself in the experiential practice of Ayurveda, the better you'll feel and the more you'll be able to, be masterful around having empowerment in your health and knowing what you need to do to create the shift you want to make. So let's get into a few other practices here. I have a bunch of props to share with you. Now, one that I've talked about before in Facebook Live is a dry brush, and I think I've spoken about it in Facebook Live. But dry brushes are these cheap, literally dry brush. It's like these kind of different bristles. You can get different types of bristles. This one is made by a company called Bass, B-A-S-S. And when this was new, this is no longer new, but when it was new, the bristles were so hard that when I, dry brushed my skin, it was actually really painful, a little bit too painful. So I put this in my shower if the bristles are too hard, because then when my skin is wet, it's not dry brushing, but I'm still moving my river of life, my lymphatic system, which is a kapha ruled system, in the shower. And I can still, when you dry brush, you're kind of aiming for, you're definitely exfoliating your skin, but you're also really moving your lymph and your blood. You're increasing circulation. And when you dry brush, if you see your skin tone turn a little bit pink, that's such a good sign. It means that your lymph and your blood were activated and the blood started rising to the surface. That's what makes your skin turn pink. So as you dry brush, I'm not literally doing it over my jacket, but as you dry brush, you're just all over your body, from your feet to your heart and from your hands to your heart, because that way you're following the lymphatic system's natural upward moving flow, which is the same way as venous return. It only goes from the feet to the heart, from the hands to the heart. You can also get the sides of your neck and what we call the warrior lymph of your body, and drain it towards the heart. Your lymphatic system drains right about here beneath your clavicle bones in what's called the subclavian vein. So it dumps at the subclavian vein into your bloodstream to be released through feces, through urine, through sweat, through crying, all different ways. So dry brushing really moves kapha. It warms you up. It gets that slow, stagnant, muddy nature. It gets it moving. It unlocks it. So if you've been feeling lethargic, unmotivated, tired, heavy, dry brushing is such your friend. And you can basically do it as many times a day as you want. The more kapha you have to move, the better it is that you dry brush multiple times a day. So what I do when I have a lot of kapha, which I tend to have the most amount of kapha at this time of year, and I'm not alone in that, most of us do, which is why I'm having this be the topic today. But I'll dry brush every time I'm naked. So usually that's in the morning before I get dressed, or before I do some kind of bathing ritual. And then I'll do it again in the evening before I go to bed. Now, if I'm, go and I exercise sometime mid-morning or midday, when I'm changing my clothes into workout clothes or out of workout clothes, I may dry brush again. Really, feet to heart, hands to heart, it can take you 2 minutes maximum to do your whole body, and it just enlivens your cells. And it also promotes sleep, which is interesting. But when our circulation, the more healthy your circulation is, the better you sleep. So dry brushing is amazing on multiple levels. And then a lot of us at this time of year do get allergies. You might just be so used to it that you're like just kind of resigned to it. Like, yep, I always have allergies this time of year. And I'm here to say that it doesn't have to be that way. And I really believe that. I don't just believe it. I feel like I know it. It does not have to be that way. Allergies and suffering and inflammation, it's all optional. I'm not saying that we don't have to take decisive, consistent action to make it shift, but you can absolutely make it shift. So if you are somebody who gets extra mucus, extra congestion, you're really phlegmy, maybe you got sick over the winter and you got some infection in your lungs, you want to use a Neti Pot. And I've done a couple really great Facebook Lives, if I do say so myself, about using a Neti Pot. I'll see if I can link to the most recent one in the notes on this Facebook Live, so that you don't have to go searching for it. But I did a very comprehensive Facebook Live, and I wrote a blog about it. So I'll put links to those resources in this video, so that if you don't know how to use a Neti Pot or you have questions about it, if you're not sure you're doing it right, definitely check out my blog and or one of those other videos. But that's huge. And then another practice that is very powerful is candle gazing. And I actually just led a candle gazing meditation in the New Year, New You Meditating Fascia Blasters group, which is a free Facebook group available and accessible to all of you. You just have to request to join. But basically, I'll just show you really quick. Basically, it's lighting a candle, holding the flame at eye level, so you put it on a stack of books or a stack of yoga blocks, and you gaze at the root of the flame with your eyes open, you don't blink, and you basically become one with the object upon which you are concentrating, which in this case is the flame. So it builds, right? We've been cold all winter. We've been it's been dark and damp and dank and raining and snowing, and that cold, that cool really builds up in your constitution. Lots of smoke from that. It really builds up. And so one of the primary tools we use to get kapha moving, I've already talked about circulation, and just the neti pot is really just actually clearing actual mucus out of your upper respiratory system. But heat makes a huge difference because it liquefies that cool, cold, slimy, muddy quality. It warms it up, it liquefies it, because only when it's really liquefied will kapha be able to exit your body through feces, urine, sweat. So those of you who are listening who are really wanting to lose weight at this time of year, warmth, 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 warmth. So you could do something like a candle gazing meditation. It's quite subtle in how it warms the body, but it truly does. And it also focuses your mind. In spring, the term spring forward, it's quite literal, like springing forward into your dreams, springing forward into your ideas that have been marinating and maybe kind of underground as little seeds throughout the winter, springing forward, springing into action. This is the season for that. So if you're too heavy or dense or sluggish to spring into action, you want to change that. So warmth is really key. So another thing that you can do to move kapha is warm yourself up by taking hot baths and using warming spices like cayenne pepper or black pepper, cumin, turmeric, cooking all of your meals with onion and garlic and leeks and shallots. Really, if you go to a farmer's market around this time of year, today's the first official day of spring, you're going to see all these spring onions and red radishes and spicy greens. So there it is again, nature saying, you know what, you want to warm things up, you want to lighten things up. The message really is like, move that excess kapha that you don't need anymore. If you don't move it, it will become something else. It will accumulate and become, the root of a dis-ease, including inflammation. So it really, really matters that we move kapha and that we do it at the right time of year. So again, the spring is your time for this. So if you take a hot bath and you're into aromatherapy, you might even add some warming essential oils to your bathtub. So literally a full bathtub, you only need 2, 3, or 4 drops of essential oil. Essential oil is so, so, so powerful. I'm going to tell you a very quick story just to emphasize my point of how powerful essential oils are. So my teacher, Deanna Batdorf, was teaching about essential oils to one of her classes. This had to have been like 20 years ago because she told me this story 18 years ago. And she was telling everyone, she was teaching about the value of peppermint essential oil. And for those of you who already run hot, peppermint's a great plant in the spring because it's cooling, but it's also activating, invigorating, helps your mind be alert. It also gets things moving. So she was teaching about peppermint essential oil, and she was teaching everyone to put some peppermint into their bath. Now she said, put 2 to 4 drops. into your bathtub. But one of the students did not register the amount. So she bought a bottle, not quite this big, but this is 5 mils bigger. So maybe this much, 2/3 of this. And she poured the entire bottle of peppermint essential oil into her bath. It was a hot bath, and she was hospitalized for hypothermia and almost died. Okay, it's so powerful. So when I say 2 to 4 drops, I mean 2 to 4 drops. So you could use a warming essential oil like cinnamon, ginger, even rose geranium. It's not quite as warming as cinnamon and ginger, but it's kind of a tridoshic, like balancing oil that's amazing for lymphatic drainage, adrenal support. It's called Poor Man's Rose because it's an oil of the heart and self-love. Or I really like to use, I love doTERRA essential oils, and they've got a blend called Slim and Sassy. It's kind of a funny name, but it's a great metabolic blend. So I actually recommend this to a lot of my spring cleanse students, especially the ones who are kapha predominant or who have a very clear kapha imbalance, because it stimulates your metabolism. So you can rub, 4 to 6 drops of something like Slim and Sassy. I know it's a safe one. You can rub that on your belly, once a day, twice a day. You can do it before, after you dry brush to also stimulate your metabolic fire. So here we are back to fire. Fire is going to melt stuck mud. It's going to melt it. It's going to liquefy it. It's going to give you the strength and spark to release that excess kapha. And then one other thing, I cleaned out. I don't know about you, but I've been practicing Ayurveda for 18 years now. It is 100% a huge part of my life. I'm so grateful. I really don't know what I would do without it. I'm sure I would not be in great health. And anyway, and I'm a practitioner of it, so I'm obsessed with it for a multitude of reasons. But I find that the longer I practice it, the more I just intuitively move into the practices of the season without even thinking about it. So yesterday, I was just cleaning my house. I was just like, oh, I need to do some dishes. I made some pesto for a client. And I was just kind of like cleaning things up. And I'm like, I'm going to clean my pantry. Like the seeds and the grains and the protein powders were like all over the place. I'm like, I want everything organized. And it only took me probably 20 minutes, but I ended up just purging my pantry, getting rid of what I don't use, what I don't need. I organized what was left, and it just felt so amazing. And I was like, oh my God, today's the spring equinox. And I just naturally did this major cleanse of my food without really thinking about it. And so then this morning I was like, what else could I clean? And I cleaned this other area, and I found a ghee that I had put aside, I don't know, probably 6 months ago, because I was like, oh, it's fall. I don't want this right now. But it's Tikta Gritta. So this is, my light makes it hard to see, but A. Muzda Enterprises. I'll post his website. He's such a sweet man. He's out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he makes these medicated ghees, which is basically ghee infused, this one in particular, ghee infused with bitter herbs. So even though I'm using ghee, which is a tridoshic fat, when it's infused with something that's bitter or pungent or astringent, then I'm incorporating more of the tastes that reduce and remove excess kapha. So even my ghee is specific now to the kapha season. And it tastes really, it is a little bit bitter, but it's actually quite delicious. And so it's ghee with a bunch of kapha reducing herbs, including guduchi, neem, punarnava. Am I saying that right? Triphala, aloe, mangista. So really some really great herbs in here. So I'll post the link to this particular jar of ghee just for fun. And then, last thing, of course, is, like I've said, heat, heat, heat. So when you wake up in the morning and throughout the day, if you can be sipping on hot water instead of cold water, iced water, or even warm water, that will also really stimulate your metabolism and get some kapha moving. So I hope that this was super valuable for you today. I didn't see any questions or comments come through, and I wonder if there's just something on my end that has me not be able to see them today. So I apologize if you've been asking any questions and I haven't answered, but I will go into Facebook when this is over and answer any questions that are in there. And as usual, thank you so much for watching. I'm Talia from Ayurveda Every Day with Talia. Definitely, I'm going to be talking about it for the next month, so you will hear so much more about it. But definitely check out my Rad Cleanse if you are at all interested or inspired or curious. Just check it out and read about it and see if it might be something that fits for you. The cleanse officially begins on April 17th. It's a 30-day program, but the cleanse itself is 2 weeks. So it's only 14 days. And what we do is we start the program and we build our way up to the cleanse for 10 days. So we get ready emotionally, mentally, and physically. Then we do the cleanse, and then there's an integration period for a few days of, okay, now, how do you integrate back into regular life? And you don't have to start the cleanse on April 17th. You have 90 days of access to the cleanse. You get it for the entire spring season plus the start of summer this year. And my goal is to actually have them always start on the first day of each season. So ideally it would start today, but we didn't get there this year. So anyway, you do have access to it for 90 days. So a lot of my students, they may jump in and start learning and then be like, oh, I'm going on vacation. I can't do the cleanse when it's happening as a group in the first 30 days. So they just kind of put it on pause. And then when they come back, they do the cleanse, because the group, everybody in the community, in the Rad Cleanse community, is doing it at their own pace. And a lot of people even do it in the beginning and then take a break and then come back and repeat it again, kind of in the late spring, just to get a little bit of a deeper layer of cleansing. So there's so many different ways that you can play with it. Don't be discouraged if you're like, April 17th doesn't work for me, because you're actually not restricted by the date. And anyway, you're going to get a $100 off coupon. I will post it in the description of this video, whether you're watching this in Ayurveda Every Day with Talia on Facebook or on my YouTube channel. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will see you next week for another Facebook Live.